to escape. It's not really going to work as Stridebreaker gets Canna a little bit further. He does have the stopwatch that he sat on for such a long time. Moonfall comes on in here as another stopwatch is there. Kingen going to utilize his, but if Kingen falls here, it is a big problem for DRX. As sonyKT, he's going to go golden as well. League of stopwatch well and truly upon us right now as the curtain's going to be called. sonyKT in a bit of trouble here. Vision being picked up by Teddy. Last bullet, not going to be able to find the mark, as now DRX should be able to deny the Infernal Soul.
It was a like 10-second window here for DRX, and they found it expertly. Really greedy from T1 to go hard on that engage with the teleport for Faker not available. If Kana is off by himself, he needs someone to back him up, and exactly the type of disjointed play that it's not going to be the end of the world, but do this against a stronger team and you might be in trouble. For now, T1 are able to avoid complete disaster, but it's still not a good look. Because look at the teleport cooldown here. That's why you have Kana in flanker position, because they're like, if you find someone now, we can go in. And hats off to Kingen for continuously finding these opportunities on the Gwen.
True. I mean, this was almost good from Canna, right? He gets underneath the turret, tries to make sure that he baits the Gwen in as far as possible, but unfortunately, it's that Gwen situation where she is just extraordinarily strong, and he's able to get out with all of that regen. There's a lot of stopwatches as well that really were a bit of a problem on both sides. As you can see, some broken ones. Cuz still has his, and Canna has sold the remnants of his stopwatch. 2 stopwatches still, though, up and available for DRX. See whether they can be employed next time they battle, as the one on Bow is, I think, the most important at this stage.
And Bao yet again going for the Serpent's Fang here. Makes sense. There's a locket. There is shielding coming through from Diana and the set.
Yep.
So in that regard, it is quite nice to pick it up. Now, as T1, you have 2 options. And yeah, that is a
death cap.
Death cap for Pioshik. And it took a while for him to get fed, but that one Infernal Drake is really going to add to the amount. 500 AP. Yeah, that'll get you there. And this is actually a big difference with last game, where it felt like at this point the composition of DRX was not really able to get reliable poking anymore. But the overall game state is looking a lot better. They're very competitive in terms of gold. And while I feel like T1 still have the ease of execution, as well as the fact that they only need to win a single fight in like the next 10 minutes, right? And that's really the kicker, and why I am still very hesitant to get enthusiastic about the current state of the game for DRX, even though I think that they clawed their way back expertly. I feel like we've seen so many times in the current meta that this is too late. That looks great. Right? It's really, really good in terms of damage, but also it doesn't get you anything. You need to hit
No, it's not very consequential, but it looks cool.
It does. It does. But you need to actually be able to get anything out of it. And if DRX hit an arrow as well, and or a spear on someone early on, surrounding the next dragon, then they might be fine. But the real kicker is that T1 can just decide to still all in, and if that all in just somehow works, which with Seth and Diana is, that's Gwen.
It's a pretty decent amount of damage there from the Gwen.
I am happy for Kingen though, because I feel like Kingen has been by far the most consistent player on this roster throughout basically the entirety of their summer split.
Yeah, I think it was a big reason why they found more success than I think a lot of people were expecting.
Yeah, but I mean, in spring he was like, the whole team looked decent, right? But like, even in the losses in summer, I think that he has been the only one who's consistently looked strong. The rest of the team a little bit more up and down. Now, 1.5 minutes towards this dragon. If you look at summoners, basically all of them are up, right? Cuz doesn't has his yet, but he will have it available come the fight. GA just now finished. Mana Mune finished and stacked, so incredibly strong spikes from DRX. I'm actually starting to think, Atlas, if they are able to finesse their way onto the into the river, and if they're able to hit a little bit of poke on people like Teddy and Cuz, maybe DRX can actually turn this fight here.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what they want to do. You want to set up, get them low, and take them out, right? Whether they can actually get there and stop this Drake from being taken by T1 is the real danger. Every time one of these Dragons is taken by DRX, though, they get that little bit more strong. You mentioned how well the Infernal Drake works on them. As Spear not going to connect onto Cuz there. Listing lazily to the left. worked out for him as T1 thinking about going for the trade. Don't know how I feel about it. Just really like the Infernal Soul, but Baron has been started. DRX, I think they know about it, but I don't know whether they're going to be able to get there. As you can see, the Gwen on the bottom side of the map. DRX have ran out of minions. They're just going to go for the brute force on this outer turret as the Baron is down to below half health. They're just trying to burst it. I think this is just gone.
Yeah.
As DRX, unfortunately, I mean, yes, they might be able to get some damage done onto this inhibitor turret. The reset does come in, and yep, 4 seconds until the Drake is alive. So maybe T1 can also get out onto the map.
Yeah, it's crucial mistiming from DRX there, and this is exactly the problem. I think that they will be able to get this.
Yeah, this should 100% be theirs.
You can go for the double teleport, but it's incredibly greedy and not really the way to go. But now you're going to get sieged by this composition from T1, and as pointed out earlier, I think this DRX comp is at its worst when it's on the back foot. It's a little bit better now with that second Infernal as well, because that poke is going to hurt so much. And that's why actually I wouldn't really mind some defensive itemization to kind of deal with the amount of damage that those spears from Pioshik are going to do.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see those yet, but...
Speaking of which, Carrier getting taken down to about half health.
And that's a Leona.
Yeah. Didn't quite have the Eclipse running or anything like that, as Pioshik now finishes his Void Staff. So, yeah, it's even more pain. As Cuz going for exactly the same build on the Diana. We're just glass cannoning one another with these junglers.
And then it becomes a question of, does DRX hit the poke before T1 all in them? It's really that simple. That's the only way as DRX when you get a relatively unified. Your kiteback is good, but the amount of hard engage on T1 is just ludicrous, so you're never going to be able to fully deny it. It's more about who do they find, who do they blow up. How much can you get done? The lack of grievous wounds on T1 scares me a little bit though. Yeah.
T1 here hanging out on the bottom side of the map. Remember, they can engage from an extraordinary distance away. The follow-up going to be there from the majority of the T1 members. Namely, Faker and Teddy, I guess. We'll see whether this poke is going to actually land. Pioshik not going to find that spear. There is the piercing arrow, and Teddy now just wanting to take down this inner. It just takes a lot of damage. This 4-item Jhin really able to chunk through this structure. Ow! Crit the turret for 800 damage. Not bad. You take that. Alrighty. As Carrier is still taking a lot of damage here from Pioshik. Pioshik can continue to land these spears. They might actually be able to make a mismatched fight for themselves, but currently bleeding objectives, as we can see.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not really game-breaking for DRX, and that's a big one here, because as long as they're in this game, they have the opportunity to... Again, if they get the next Drake, then this game kind of flips on his head, because then it becomes a question, if you get one, can they go in?
Yeah, Paranoia is still available here for Faker, so he can turn the lights off. Looks like Becker is just going to walk away. Of course, he's a Bronze, pretty difficult to engage onto him. He's going to be all right. Still, it's just a Stridebreaker. You may as well utilize it. It's Kingin dashes on over the wall, and T1 are like, nah, this Gwen's pretty dumb. We're not going to go for this. But still, slowly but surely, they're getting things around this map. Soccer does deal with the top wave, and now we'll be able to group back up with this team. So, time bought by DRX, not too much gained here by T1 as this game is slowed down. As now I'm going to have to ask you, who do you think has the strongest 71-minute power spike?
Maybe it's DRX? Which is weird to say. But I think that T1 is going to run into the exact same issue where I don't know if this game goes on for longer and longer, they're going to have the confidence to actually pull the trigger, which has been a problem for them, right? And then if you don't pull the trigger, we get the same situation that they faced against Nongshim, where you are playing against Lethality Varus, then it was a Rumble, now it's a Nidalee, that are just going to throw skill shots at you. Eventually those are going to hit.
The non-committal side wins out because you don't actually need to make a decision, you just fish.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
So as long as T1 doesn't just stand there and actually uses their flash engages to get anything done, I think they should still be favored. I think that it will be really hard for DRX to keep Bao alive throughout it all, but at the same time, It's a weird situation because, as I said, I think that in isolation you look at the T1 comp and I think that they're clearly better in late game scenarios, but the range advantage for DRX might be a bit of a problem, and that combined with T1's general lack of tendency to be a bit too apprehensive at times, makes the hard one to call. On the flip side, T1 is in a position where more so than DRX, if they do ever commit and it works out, which with their comp generally, it will. They're in for a heap of trouble. And Teddy, he needs to get a little bit more. He has a, that's the Grump.
Vampiric Scepter. There we go. Get on over here, Teddy. Manages to get the heal from the Grump as well. Not bad.
They got you there.
Yep. Good, good, good. Okay, so T1 now just in position. We've got 13 seconds till potentially 18 fights. Don't want to get your hopes up though. Teddy, my goodness, just does a lot of damage.
It has to be. DRX are definitely going to look for a fight. Faker splitting, but I would much rather see that knocked in here. Teleport and Paranoia available here, Atlas.
Yeah, I expect the Paranoia teleport to be employed. Tale as old as time is what it feels like since Nocturne has come into the meta. Okay, Drake is going to reset. Kingen picks it up though. Turret going to be taken here by Faker. They're going to have to start some sort of play as the Drake gets taken down pretty quickly, especially by Kingen, who does a lot of damage. They will pick up the aggro as in they go. Canna very close to just dead as the fight starts. That is the Infernal Soul picked up. Faker dives into the backline. Bao does use that stopwatch that we were talking about, but will he stay alive? The answer is absolutely not, as Kaz is a nuclear bomb in the backline with this build that he's gone for. Doesn't stay alive for very long though, is now Teddy setting himself up with the curtain call as Solka walks towards him. Teddy thought that he might be able to go for this one. Okay, Deadly Flourish not actually going to be employed as Kingen looking for Keria, looking for Faker, wanting to find an opportunity to close the gap, but he's not going to be able to. If he gets on top of anyone, he kills them. However, needs to find the Leona, as there are wolves there. There's Keria as well.
Keria!
Kingen, you knew! You saw him! Oh, dearie me, the Hex Flash gets him out, and Solka gets the bad news just before he gets over the wall.
Special Agent Keria!
Doesn't matter. Special Agent.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where you
well.
put him. He will find a way to get out. Wow.
That was silly. That was real silly.
Oh my god. And this was a very important team fight. Kana so close to dying. I think if he dies there, this might go completely different. But even if they lose this fight, that starts with the Infernal getting picked up. Right? So everything afterwards is just gravy. Pay attention to Teddy, who plays this out just gorgeously. A really nice stopwatch. Snipe #1. Didn't actually have a vision there, I think, at the end of the fight. And
watching Teddy like almost walk back in there, I thought that maybe he could two-shot the Crocodile, but did need to be pretty careful as we're going to check out how he did this one.
His weaving in and out and like still hitting autos is just... Oh.
I like how you saw his mouse sort of wiggle around. He's like, yeah, it's about there. Gets the kill. Beautiful. Oh, in the meantime, some needlework going on here towards the top side of the map. And Faker is going to escape. Had to use his flash, though. As 6 items on the gym is very, very scary.
Love this final piece of itemization as well from Teddy. His positioning has been exceptional the entire game. And I think that while GA is really good into dive compositions against a poke composition, Bloodthirster has the very obvious benefit of one, giving you a shield, and secondly, even if you do get hit, and they get through your shield, you hit like a wave, and you are good to go. So Teddy's feeling really good.
2,000 damage, Chronicle.
Yeah.
It's a big amount of damage.
It is.
That's my assessment.
Fountain Laser Teddy, it's been a while since we've really seen him, but you know, it's a bit more fragmented with the 4 separate lasers.
Do you think there are enough traps? Do you think Pioshik has put down enough traps in this area?
Maybe? He's like, oh, it's just nice champion you got that we nearly. I'm set.
Yeah,
he
just walks into it.
Oh, I just use this as fuel, you know, if you try to engage on me. And Kingen is like, oh, guys. You know, he's in his promos. He's doing really, really well.
He's trying his very best.
He's having the side lane pressure, but then we're getting a lot of Teddy shots, and I don't really mind it. I think seeing...
I mean, he's the one that's been doing the stuff. Chronicler, I was talking about Cuz being that nuclear bomb trying to get into the backline. When we saw the replay, he wasn't actually able to get too much done at all. He just kind of popped. But it was Teddy that was able to get so much of the work done. I mean, if Cuz can get in there, you know, and actually land some abilities, get a Moonfall onto multiple members, then that will happen. Now has the Zhonya's completed. But we haven't seen that just yet. Looking forward to it.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, I think Teddy is a perfect KDA across this series thus far, because I don't think he died in game number 1.
I don't think so either. Okay, we're just going to look for Bao with the curtain call. Teddy going to the shooting range, having a bit of a day off as the Unbreakable is going to wear off. And Becca's like, well, may as well just soak it.
Yeah. That's the full shot on full health Brom.
Yeah.
That's what Infernal Soul will get you. Oh my god.
Infernal Soul and, you know, the old 5 big old items as Cuz is looking to blow up the Nidalee and does so pretty effectively. We'll find the Q as well. Lands it onto a couple of extra members at the same time as Canna's going to come through and make sure the counter engage is impossible. T1 think that taking the jungler means Baron, and look, I kind of agree with them. Unless they kind of want to defend this inner turret that will get just snipped to bits by this Gwen.
It's just not on time, right? Like, you might get, again, a turret. I don't even think King is going to get that. It's just, there's not enough time. There's not enough pressure on the map. The Baron damage is too high.
The Flame Horizon Teddy Jin situation is certainly one that DRX fans are pretty frightened of at this point in time.
Didn't even, they had no vision there, right? Like, they knew that there was a chance that he walked in there, but I was just throwing out a Q to test the waters, hits it, and then...
Large amount of damage from this very, very damage-focused, you could say, Diana build.
There is one win condition here. He sold his boots. He now is a collector. So... Teddy's ready. Teddy's ready to right-click some people.
Oh yeah.
But and we joke, and this game should be in the bag for T1. But there is one way, and it's the Elder Flip.
Oh yeah. Wow, King took a lot of damage from Cuz. Okay, that spear also doing a lot of work here as Kingen moves on over. We are doing it. This is exactly what we were talking about, Kenny. Teddy is going to throw out the curtain call, knows exactly where DRX are, and they are going to have to get off the Elder. That may have just got them into position as the Blast Cone gets Kingen over the wall. In the meantime, Fake is just in the bottom lane as in goes Canna. There's the Paranoia as Fake will see where he is. The Elder was taken by T1 though, and I think that may just spell the end of DRX. Faker gets on top of Becca. The Dragon is getting extraordinarily angry. That's going to be the ace, and that will be the 2-0 for T1.
And it's a necessary game for T1 Atlas, the T1 that we haven't seen in a while, and I think DRX looked better today than they have in a while, but against a T1 that clearly also looks better than they have in a while, not enough whatsoever.
Yeah. And also, I don't know about the salty run back. I feel like we have learned that if you do it again, maybe it takes a bit longer, but the outcome is the same. Teddy's still just absolutely dominant. I think maybe the media might have been voting for this game instead of the other one. Not entirely sure. I think that maybe he deserves it this time around. Some smiles on the T1 members' faces. DRX, not quite so much. As, look, I like the confidence of just going for it again and saying, like, our comp was okay, we'll show you. But they didn't. So it just looked even more silly in the end.
And T1.
When's game 2?
Well, not tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be round 2, I guess. See whether we get the same draft again as Cuz fan. Very, very cute picture there.
I mean, Cuz had a great day today. Both games on Diana looked
really good. Really
good. I think that on the second game, it should not be a surprise who we have voted for again. And your heart goes out to DRX. The unfortunate reality is that someone needs to be the worst team in the LCK every split. It's not something that is ever going to feel good.
Nope.
And currently it is looking to be DRX. T1 getting a very necessary winner, a bit of a palate cleanser for them, possibly the 2-0.
Yep.
Not having to give anything away in drafts as well, being able to play the exact same draft twice, courtesy of
I love that you're
DRX there.
talking, like that's the little silver lining there of like the salty run back from DRX.
It's good for
Like
T1.
yeah, just like hold on to all of your information. And of course, T1 didn't need to draft anything else because, you know, they made it work game 1. Why shouldn't they be able to make it work in game 2? Demonstrating that consistency very nicely, as that is an adorable picture. And it all came true. It all came true for the T1 fans. What it actually means is I don't think necessarily as much as T1 fans would want, right? Because this is against DRX, who are struggling far more than T1 was. And DRX have some tough games on their hands. I think their next one is going to be Humble Life Esports. That's the one that they would desperately want to win to even things out and possibly try to get to that 9th place with a potential 2-0. I believe they do have the capability of doing so. Statistically, even, possibly. So we're going to check out some of these highlights. The Teddy snowball began pretty early, but rolled pretty slowly, I think.
Didn't really hit his stride until the mid to late game. You really tried, King, and no one will hold you accountable for what happened here today. But the T1 that we saw today is a T1 that, fortunately, does not get themselves dragged into 70-minute matches.
Yep.
It's a T1 that is not afraid to pull the trigger. I still think that there is a lot to improve upon for this team. I still think that while the weaknesses weren't as pronounced today, we still saw some of them, right, in terms of, kind of being still a little bit apprehensive, some 1v1s not working out very, very well, the side laning not as crisp as we would otherwise like it to be, case in point, a couple of these plays that we saw. But as a whole, the team does look a lot better, and against an opponent like DRX, that is kind of what should happen, or that's how we feel at least. I'd imagine if you are an LCK fan or a T1 fan, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I think so. I don't think you're out of the woods just yet. However, it is.
Agreed.
It's not the end of the world now, and it's only up from here, and maybe T1 can find some momentum. The DRX side of things, it is still just, you know, it feels like bad going to worse. But one thing I do want to talk about is Teddy. Teddy just having a really great showing on back-to-back games. As we listen into the final moment.
And I think Kana's received a lot of just criticism for his lane phase. And even here we saw some side lane mistakes. But he's the one that actually makes that play happen, right?
Yeah.
Because he's the one who goes in, slams Pioshik away from the pit, which means that he can just take the Elder. There's no risk whatsoever to get the unfortunate flip into getting aced by an Elder Drake and then losing the game, which would have been an absolute nightmare. Yeah, that turret damage is...
Teddy, like, he's going to half hit the Nexus here, I think. Yeah, there we go, 2,000 damage. Not bad. Not bad at all. So congratulations to T1, grabbing themselves the 2-0. I think that they would be accepting nothing less, as yes, Teddy will do almost double the damage of a lethality Varus. Cool. As you can see, the gold graph was pretty close until it absolutely wasn't.
This salty run back, I think we can definitely conclude not a success now that we have seen the outcome, which we kind of hinted towards, but you know, you got to give it the benefit of the doubt, I guess. I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, we had to humor it. We had to humor it for a bit, but I don't know whether I really like it that much. I think that also, like, mentally, it's really, really hard to just play something that just lost all over again. It's not much of a mental reset, but look, they decided to do it. It didn't work. Maybe we just won't see that attempted ever again. Kind of like the, you know, Sulka being subbed out for Destroy situation as well.
Yeah, that was not ideal. And I think our lessons here for today are T1, still some of the same mistakes, but at least it looks like just the drop down is now halted, you know? It's like
they look better than our 10th place team.
Yes.
But we're going to have to see more from T1 before we say more than that, right? And that was just going to be the grim reality of the situation in this game, right? That's just how that one works. As I believe we do have the POG vote ready almost. Not quite. Not
almost.
Quite. Almost. Very close. And is it just going to be Teddy? Maybe we're trying to count up the Pog votes, but it's kind of like the amount of damage you did with each crit. It just takes a while to write down all of the numbers. Not entirely sure. That actually doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever. And maybe it's a bit closer. Maybe we had to do some weird tiebreakers or something like that, which I find a little bit strange because I feel like Teddy should get it. You voted for Teddy, right?
I did. Just
scared for a second there.
Got you there. No, I did.
Friend.
I did vote for Teddy. Initially, I was leaning Cuz because I think his early game presence on the Ana was yet again great.
Yep.
But
and also would have fit the salty run back to have the same Pog vote as well on top of everything. That's
but cool. Yeah, then we sold the game and then went, you know what, Teddy going perfect KDA across 2 games as Jin. You get it, buddy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think T1 is still, as you pointed out, like there's still the same question marks, and that's kind of weird. Whether like they go 2-0 and you're like, what does this really mean, though? Like, what is going to happen next?
That's the thing that's difficult, right? It just doesn't really give us too much information. But the information we do have is the Pog vote, as it is going to be Teddy. Of course, it is. 35.9% of his team's damage, way too much gold, and yeah, didn't die. Cross 2 series. It's just a Teddy kind of day.
And the Jin has kind of been a returning carry. That is definitely not yet in the upper echelon, right? But it's the carry that people go to generally when everything else stands out. And I think the nice thing about the Jin is that into dive compositions, it's still a safe range. I think it has a lot harder time having the impact that we saw in this game, right? Because the composition from DRX gives you so much space as Jin, because they have poke, but they don't have hard engage at all. So as
we
Jin,
were trying to tiebreak, but the analysts and Jonas Strong, our observer, all voted for Teddy. So therefore, we get that one broken up as, yep, the media, if you're throwing out some media kick W's there, 2 of them figured it out. And we're like, okay, this time we've got it. And they voted for Cuz, but unfortunately it was broken. And now it is time to go towards the interview with a chat with Cuz and Teddy. So let's throw it over to Jisun for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Jisun with the PUBG interview translation, and T1's losing streak came to an end with this victory over DRX. Congratulations, guys. Thank you. With this 2-0 victory over DRX, you guys hopped onto the 5th place in the LCK. How are you feeling? We were on a losing streak, but it's a relief that we were able to get a win against DRX. Yeah, I think this is a really good sign. Same. I'm glad that we were able to end our losing streak, and I'm happy that we won with the exact same picks. Every T1 win has been 2-0 so far. Did you have a good feeling today as well? After, we won game number 1, we had some high morale. We were feeling pretty well. But still, we had to get back onto the game and prepare. Speaking of game number 1, T1's R5 pick was Jin, and that was pretty controversial. Tell us about the logic behind that pick. That was the directions that we had during the scrims, and Jin is a really good pick if you have a strong top side. I think it turned out really well. Because T1 had an excellent play around the comp strength, especially your Diana was in the center, and there's a highlight where you used a one-man ult on Gwen prior to the Dragon fight. Tell us about it. We practiced this comp a lot, and I knew that this one-man ult can get a lot of value. And we had a shocking run back from both teams. We had the same pick, same ban on the same side. What did the players discuss this situation? We had the same bans, and we were like, is it gonna be the run back? And then we were expecting something new from the enemy top laner, but we were, we were just so flustered that we just laughed because we were so surprised.
민석이랑 좀 같이 웃었던
Yeah, we had the same band, same picks, so me and Kyria were just laughing. Then what did you focus on in terms of the gameplay in game 2?
보다는 좀더 플레이가 하는데
I think compared to game 1, I think we felt a lot more relaxed.
일단 상대가 일단 한 번 더 한 이유가 실수해서 졌다 생각했을까
I think
봐
they ran the same comp because
더
they
집중해서
thought, they lost the game because they made mistakes. So we stayed more alert and alarmed in this game. At the end of the game, you guys added more damage with the death cap and you sold the boots and bought the collector. So when was the moment that you saw the game was about to end?
실수 안 하면 이기겠다는 생각을 했는데
Because we had the same comp, we were like, we're gonna win as long as we don't make mistakes. But after we all got 6 items, I think, we were pretty much in a very solid spot. What did the players say after winning the run back game?
이거 나서 다들
We all just,
비슷했던 것 같은데요.
I mean, like, pretty much the same, nothing special. With this victory, T1 should be looking to start off their winning streak, and it's gonna be a telecom war. The next opponent you'll be facing will be KT roster. How are we gonna prepare for that?
KT가 요즘 또
KT,
잘하고 있는 만큼
I think they are
저희도
ramping up these
준비를
days,
잘
so I guess we
해야
have to
될것
prepare
같고요.
really hard.
통신사 대전이니까
It's gonna be a telecom war.
꼭 이겨보겠습니다.
We will do our best to secure the victory.
기통신사 대전인데
It's a telecom war next week. We will do our best to pick up a 2-0 win. And this will be the end of the interview from ㅅTEKT from T1, and then I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jisun, as usual, for the interview translation. Great to hear from Cuz and Teddy. Cuz, of course, performing well does bode well for T1 moving forward. However, looking forward to their next series to see whether we learn even more, as they will move up to 5th place with that 2-0. If it was a 2-1, they wouldn't have been able to get past Bro, as now, I believe, equal 5th with Fred and Breon, because that's just the world that we live around. Not entirely sure. I'm going a bit loopy. Not gonna lie to you, that was a very weird series.
That's what you get for 2 times same draft in a row. Casters are like, what do I talk? What?
I kind of wanted to talk to our producer and be like, can you just rerun the tape? Just do the last one again. It'll be fine. Our next match is, I think, going to be a really interesting one. KT versus Live Sandbox. Both of these teams performing a lot better than they did last season. Let's see who's going to prove themselves better after what is going to be about an hour-long break or something like that. So one game of solo queue, come back, and we'll be right here with our final series of the week. See you there.